most of us don't think of our surroundings. We don't think of the grass or the trees or the air we breathe. We just go about what we needed to do the next day. So today I'm here to share information about the Environmental Law and Policy Center, an organization that does think of the trees and the grass and the air we breathe and everything that makes up the Midwest. So first I will talk about who are the Environmental Law and Policy Center. Then I will talk about what do they do, and finally I will talk about their program priorities. So first let's talk about who are the Environmental Law and Policy Center. In 2013, the Environmental Law and Policy Center on their website reveals that they define themselves as the Midwest's leading public advocacy and eco-business innovation organization. It was founded in 1993 with headquarters in Chicago, Illinois, after a year-long strategic planning process sponsored by seven major foundations. It is governed by a 16-member board composed of both businessmen and women, academics, attorneys, and civic leaders. They meet quarterly to examine progress and guide staff on major organizational decisions. In 2008, they established a Science Advisory Council, which includes leading academics from major universities, including University of Michigan and Northwestern University, so that their program decisions benefit from regular scientific input. I'll give you a few seconds to read their mission statement. Their mission is to develop and lead successful strategic advocacy and campaigns to improve environmental quality and protect the Midwest's natural resources. They engage in a lot of creative business deal-making with diverse interests to put into forth their belief of environmental progress and economic development can be achieved together. Now that we know what the environmental law and policy do, we can now talk about what do they do. The Environmental Law and Policy Center's vision embraces smart, persuasive advocacy and sustainable development principles to win the most important environmental cases and issues. They rather focus on a small handful of cases and make them really strong so they can win them than spread themselves very thin with a whole bunch of cases that they're not really strong. They work throughout the Midwest and Great Plains to meet two major needs. One is to provide public interest in economic and technical resources and also environmental and natural resource issues. They inject strategic and regional perspectives as environmental issues are increasingly regional in scope and complex, and they require coordinated strategies to shape the public policy. In 2013 interview with Environmental Law and Policy Center board leader Ellen Craig, she responds with how the organization goes about their approach. And to paraphrase what she told me, the Environmental Law and Policy Center is composed of multidisciplinary staff with a bunch of talents and experience. There are those public interest attorneys who represent grassroots organizations that have broad national and regional impacts for protecting the right and natural resources. There are also business policy specialists that develop new markets for environmentally preferable products and services. And there are also communication experts and organizers that make sure that environmental and policy centers persuasive messages reach the public and build coalitions to support the environmental campaigns. Now that we know about what Environmental and Policy Center do, we can now talk about their program priorities. Charity Navigator in 2011 reports on their website that about 86% of their Environmental and Policy Center's donations actually go towards their programs. Two of their major programs is clean energy and clean air. U.S. Senator Illinois Dick Durbin, in a 2011 article on his website, supports clean energy and describes it as a program that focuses on creating markets for renewable energy sources such as wind and solar power. And they also focus on getting really strong policies so they can go for long-term use. In a 2013 interview with board leadership Nancy Lowe, she describes in a neutral manner about the program Clean Air. The Midwest depends heavily on coal-fired power plants, and so the Environmental Law and Policy Center is working to bring the older plants up to standard pollution controls, and they also are working to shut down those that don't want to cooperate and move up their standards. So today, in conclusion, today we have talked about who are the Environmental Law and Policy Center, then we talked about what do they do, and finally we talked about their program priorities. So the next time you're out in your surroundings, you can now know that there's an organization that's protecting it. Thank you.